Alright folks, welcome back to my channel. Today we're doing the clock spring on this truck because one of the few things that did not work on it when I got it was the steering wheel controls. Got all that turned off now. This is supposed to change the menu on the bottom of the screen here, and I'm not gonna turn the volume up, but I'm gonna show you. It's supposed to also cycle through all of that. None of this is working at all. It's not cycling. The bottom ones are supposed to cycle through your mileage, your tire pressure, your oil, everything. Now it's doing that on its own. None of these are causing any of it. Right now, with hitting this button, the OnStar should be kicking on, and it's not. This is the source button for the radio. As you see, I'm nailing both of them, and neither one of them are changing. So, talked to a buddy of mine that actually used to work on GM all the time, and asked him, because it's not lighting up or the button's working, either one, what might cause it, because there's a 2 amp fuse that I learned that's underneath the knee pan on the dash that allows these lights to light up. But the problem was, all the videos I watched where these lights lit up behind the switches, the switch still functioned, you just couldn't see what it was or which part of the button you're hitting. So I assumed automatically that that wasn't going to fix it, and talked to him, and of course he agreed. The way to fix this is the clock spring. Now, I've gone ahead and already purchased Dorman clock spring, part number 525015, and it's supposed to be the clock spring for this truck. Now, of course, before I get started, I am going to disconnect the power for this. Now, this is a clamp that holds all those wires and clamps them onto the back side of the clock spring. So I got to make sure and put this where it won't be lost. Go ahead and set that in the ashtray. And then, well, oh, there it comes out. And then there's the clock spring. Two switches for two connectors for the airbag, and it actually sits on that way. That's what you'll see when I get ready to put everything back together. Now we've got to break this orange lever off here with the steering wheel straight to where it'll function the way it's supposed to. But you have to connect the connector that hooks to those, let's see, 2, 4, 6, 12 wires right there, if this is even the right one. I'm not 100% sure, because there was like four different versions of this. So, of course, they come with a ton of stuff that I'm probably not going to read. I believe that's it. Yep, that's all there is to it. So, I'm going to get the battery disconnected, and I'm going to get some better lighting in here to where we can see what the heck we're doing, and we'll be right back at it. Alright, now I've gone ahead and picked me up a LED light that I got off of eBay for fairly cheap. Now let's go and hook the battery so I don't get airbag in my face. Well, incidentally, this is the battery that came with this truck. And all I'm unhooking is the negative battery cable. I'm going to leave the positive on here. And the extra noise is him trying to work on his frame. Okay. First thing I'm going to need is a bar to go in that hole right there. There's one of those holes on each side of the steering wheel, and then this airbag comes straight out. So let me find something like that and we'll come right back to it. It's being so nice. Of course, my 20 days of drinking water isn't up yet, so I'm still going at that too. Now, I've gotten a center punch and a pick. One of the two is going to be enough to get this to come off. I think this one is. But I'm going to have to use both hands. Dang it. You can take one side off at a time. Okay, there's that side. Hold it up. And there's that side. Okay. So the punch was good enough. And now, airbag comes out. Pinch the two tabs on the side and it lifts right up off the airbag. That one's a little bit more of a pain in the neck. Now they say leave these set face up for 10 minutes after you take them off. Personally, I don't see how it makes a bit of difference, but I'll do what they say, what they suggest, just as a precaution. All right, now, my understanding from here is this. This push in, twist out for the horn. There we go. That takes care of that part. Don't want to make that connector. So I'm going to have to get a pry tool to pull that little Christmas tree back on this thing out. In the meantime, I'm going to go ahead and unhook this. Well, there we go. So the airbag is completely unhooked now. Knock my microphone off. Okay, so now the 13/16 to remove that bolt. And I believe these all come off as well. Yeah, because it's through your horn. Well, now you may not have to take those off. Because it's unhooked here. Okay, that makes sense. I've only seen this done. I've never actually done it myself before, so y'all are learning right along with me for what that's worth to you. Let me get a ratchet in the 13/16 socket. And oh, one thing I've neglected to mention until now, when you get ready to do this, you want to make sure, now there's a straight up and down mark on your steering shaft. There's also a arrow, you can't see real well, right there that's printed on it. And as long as that arrow and that line up, you're good. Steering wheel straight. That's something I wanted to stress because not everybody mentions it. And a lot of people will sit there and mark straight up across all of it, and you don't need to. There's already a factory mark there and a painted factory mark on the inside of the steering wheel with that arrow on it already. Okay, got me a socket, 13/16 extension and a ratchet. There we go. Didn't need a steering wheel puller to get this bolt loose with one hand.
Oh no, bolt comes off easy.
Yeah, I did it with one hand.
See if the steering wheel comes off.
Well, I got a secret weapon for that too. Especially since this clock spring's already ruined. I might have to put you down because I do need both hands for this part. Was that what you were saying about needing a wheel puller? Lucky.
Yeah, usually they stuff on there pretty good.
Man, if you knew how many times I've done this. And there it is. Came right off. Put that up in on my dash. Now, this is the tricky part. Okay, I'm gonna put this. Woo! Well, that flies up kind of fast when there's no pressure on it. Need a Phillips. Get my keys out of there. They don't need to be in the way. Get me a Phillips and I'll be right back at it. Okay, got my Phillips. Well, his Phillips. I gotta pull this out. It's your adjuster for the tilt wheel. And there we go. Maybe I didn't need the Phillips. Okay. Sorry if I'm shaky. I didn't think to bring a tripod with me. And all he's got's a great big one over here. I didn't really feel like having to look outside the truck every 2 seconds to see if it was still on target or in focus the whole time. Come on. Okay, the back side's broke loose, but I want the front. There we go. Okay. Now, there's one. Never mind. I was gonna say there's one Phillips screwdriver. Yeah. Dang, looked like somebody was eating in the, over the steering wheel. All kinds of food crumbs. All right. And this is not coming off very well, so make sure I don't lose his tools because he won't let me back over here if I screw up too much. All right, now I'm gonna need both hands for, well, maybe not. There we go. Okay, both halves of that. Yeah, this is the right one. I was kind of concerned about that. All right. Now, oh, duh, stupid. Down in there. You see a I can't even think of what the heck they're called. You gotta take that clamp out. Once that clamp comes out, this whole thing comes off. And there are 12 wires are right here. All I'm gonna do is take the bracket off the inside of this. And these 12 wires unplug. This whole thing comes off, put the new one back on, put it all back together. Now it sounds a lot easier than it is, but I need to get a pair of those. I need to get those snap ring. That's what it is. But I gotta get his snap ring pliers, or mine that I left over here for him to use, to take that off of there. And then we're home free. Cool thing is, he had a set of good ones that I could use, and I've already got it pulled up out of there, but I didn't pull it all the way out. If you lose this, you're done. So I highly recommend putting it somewhere where it won't go nowhere. It won't knock it off. For me, that's in here, because I don't use that for nothing. Now, this slides straight out. And this part I'm at a loss on, because I've never seen anybody do this part. I'm gonna show it. I think this is an inner insert here, and it just pries up out of there, but I want to be 100% sure. Okay, upon closer inspection, you actually have to push these, bust these tabs loose all the way around this, and the whole back of this is the factory clock spring. So you actually have to take the whole back of this off in order to get that out, to get to the wires. Here we go. Back is off. And there's all 12 of your wires. And the inner workings of your clock spring, which looks like this one's busted anyway. It is. Wow. Okay. Now, to figure out how these, oh, well, that easy, huh? Just like that. You're gonna enjoy this. Yeah, kind of humorous. Kind of humorous.
What's up? Oh, like a video?
I still have yet to break into the instructions. But from the looks of this, it looks like these clamps go underneath each side of this, and they just make connections from the top. That's the way it appears. Now, because this is such a critical piece and an important piece, I'm actually going to take the time to look through the literature that they sent with the this replacement spring and make sure that that is the case. I know I'm losing man points right and left today, but I want to make sure because it is a critical piece and I don't feel like spending another $138 for a new clock spring. Plus I'd have a heck of a time because I'm using my neighbor's shop space and I don't want to leave this thing here. And I'm sure he don't want me leaving it here because it'll be all in his road. Anyway, let me read through the literature real quick and I'll be right back. Okay, what this thing doesn't tell you is that you have to put this on before you unbolt these clips from the back of the old clock spring. Of course, I did not do that. But the new clock spring goes on like so. And the other part of this clamp with the bolts actually snaps down like so over the wires. Now, once you get to this point, it tells you to take these orange bands off. And that's so that when you snap the other end here, that these little points are all going to make contact with each of those wires properly. It should slide right on top of them. But nobody ever covered that in any of the videos that I saw. And it's probably because they got frustrated trying to figure out how the stupid clips attach. Now I'm going to go ahead and pull these orange wires, the orange banners off of here. Banners. The orange, I guess it's a sticker. It doesn't look like it's anything significant. But I'm going to go ahead and peel them off of here. I can't do it one-handed, so I'll do that and then I'll be right back with you. Okay, now according to this, you have to pull those bands off. They are plastic. I didn't think they were. I thought they were just stickers the way they felt. You pull those off and then fold this over to where that these will actually make contact when you snap them into the other piece of the clock spring, like so. And then you put that other clamp on there and run the screws through it, tighten them down, and you're on your way to being done. Now, because that is a pain in the neck to do one-handed with a camera, and since I wasn't brilliant enough to bring a tripod that I could just do this and let you watch me put it together, I'll have to jump back on once I get that part done. I'm trying to do this step by step so that you're able to experience it right along with me. Okay, now unfortunately, it had some issues, and I had to skip past some of the reassembly. One thing I will tell you is that when you're putting, well, I'll show you the steps. Hang on a minute. I'm going to go ahead and get this back on. I will tighten that back down more, but I wanted to get it started to where I can. Oh, my big sausage fingers are not going to fit in there, but I got something for that. Jeez. That ain't going to work either. Dang it. There we go. Boy, that was a pain in the neck. And then this for your horn. Okay. I did have to pull out the instructions, but while I'm finishing up here, I'll show you. When you get to this point where you're messing with the ribbons, these cables are tinned onto these connectors. And it doesn't take very much at all for them to bust loose. And my neighbor here saved the day again by soldering them back together for me. I suck at soldering, so there's no way I'd have done it very well at all. But what they don't tell you is that when you go to reconnect those connectors in there, it doesn't slide all the way in like you assume it should. So the little clamp that you put on the back side of the clock spring itself does not clamp down properly. You put these on here to keep them in the proper orientation, but you can still get them flipped when you're trying to keep that on there. That did not stay on for more than like a second. As soon as I flip the wires, it gone. So that's not on mine. But what you have to pay attention to is the color of the wires. Now the bottom of the clock spring itself had the colors that are supposed to be in each grommet on each side. So if you pay attention to that, it's hard to get that wrong. You just pay attention to what colors are on which side, and then you flip the plugs accordingly and plug them in. Most of the videos I've seen did not show that. See, this one's got 2 pink wires on it right here. This is actually on the right hand side. It's reverse of this picture. When I first connected them, I didn't pay attention to that, and I wound up connecting them backwards. So I had to pry them back out of there and try to switch them back over to the proper socket that they're supposed to be plugged into. That's when the green wire right here broke loose, and then in trying to make it work still, the gray wire on the outside broke loose. So we had to solder both of those. And you just got a very, very small, very thin area to get that wire back into and get it tinned into place. It's a pain in the neck. I recommend looking up this wire set, because these go back behind the steering wheel. Now, I hate using instructions, especially when they're not colored. But basically this is all I did to put it back together, just after I got the wires all straightened out and the harness clamped down. Just slid that back over the post and put the steering wheel back on. Now, at this point, it says, remove the orange clip from the clock spring, which I did. Right there. And reinstall the steering wheel and airbag assembly. Turn the ignition key on, reconnect the negative battery terminal, ensure the airbag light does not remain illuminated. And it may still, because that may not be all that was wrong with the airbag part of it. There's also a connector down there in the wheel, or in the footwell, next to the release for the hood that can be corroded, that'll cause that airbag light to come on. Test and verify all steering wheel controls are functioning properly. If the airbag light remains illuminated or any wheel accessory controls do not function, verify connections. If this does not correct the condition, and most likely is a problem with the column, harness, or another part of the airbag system. So the column harness is probably what's going to be my issue if this didn't fix it. Now, I'm getting ready to put these back together. These are color coded, so it's hard to get these wrong. And then you got those pins that line up right here and here. And everything should just pop right back into place and you're good to go. Now I'm gonna go ahead and throw my console for my steering wheel housing back together, and I gotta have both hands for that, so I'll be right back. One thing I am gonna mention, when you're putting these back on, your steering wheel still needs to be off. I had to take mine back off because none of these things would line back up until I did. And then these clock spring, these airbag wires only fit in one way. So it's impossible to get those wrong. Make sure all your wires are out of the way. Line your pins back up. Can't really see it, but, and it's back on. I actually drive with it all the way down. Best thing I can recommend is if there's another clock spring out there that you can get that does not require you to take these off, that's probably the better one to get. Because this Dorman one was garbage. I'm just hoping that it works now. I'm getting ready to go hook up the negative battery terminal, and we're gonna see if it actually works or not, but I'm kind of skittish at the moment. If I hook this up and I don't hear a big pop, we're good. So far, no pop. know why that's going on. Okay. Now, I've got faith in the work I've done, but because I don't have faith in this airbag, or this old ass truck, no more airbag. Yes! Steering wheel controls still don't work. Well, actually those do. Just the ones for the stereo aren't working.
Turn it on at the. Yeah.
Oh, it's on. But if that's the only one that's not working, I'm fine with that. Fuel used 900 and see, you couldn't see any of this before. That's a lie. I'll reset it again when I actually do change the oil. Tire pressures 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So all the TPMS sensors have to be brought back online. One or maybe two of them might be low, either that right front or this left rear, because those are the two that leak down. That one leaks down in a matter of a week. The back one over here doesn't. It takes a little longer. But yeah, neither one of my steering wheel controls for the stereo work. Everything else does though, so I'm happy with that. Yeah, I see no source. Funny, all my lights are off now. All my lights are off. No error messages at all now. Nothing. The only thing is I can't switch my source on here or change the station on here or lower the volume on here. Now that could still just be these sets of switches. I don't know that these are good switches. Obviously these bottom ones are, but I've got another set of switches I can put in here to test and make sure if it is or isn't the switches. So we're good that way. Yeah. So we're probably good with that. I'll shut this thing off before I asphyxiate us both. But to cover the tools that were needed, Phillips screwdriver. Socket wrench for the battery. I call it a battery tool. 13/16 socket for the steering wheel. I got the extension so I could put a little retard strength into it. Ratchet. The pick came in very handy. A small flat tip screwdriver. This punch actually allowed me to push the airbag out of the steering column. And then your snap ring tool. That's that. That's all I needed. But that's got it. Got all the lights out, and like I said, I'll do an update once I try these switches out with known good ones to make sure they work or don't, and see if that's the problem. If those are just bad switches and need to be redone. Hopefully, it's not that these are controlled by the 2 wires that we had to solder in and they're just not working. Either way, the rest of it's working, so I'm happy with it. And I appreciate my neighbor there for helping me out, because he kind of rescued me with the soldering, because I suck at soldering. And I'm just glad to have that done finally and out of the way. Anyway.
It's nice to me though when you get shitty miracles.
Yeah. Hey, I'll take the crappy ones all day long. Yeah. See the spots? I've got to sand that down still too, and then hit it with another light coat of the tan camo paint, and it should be good. You won't notice the difference. But that's all. Thank you guys for watching. Pretty soon we'll have to start on the cleanup on this one. But thank you guys for watching. I appreciate each and every one of you, and you have a great afternoon. We'll see you in the next one.